I'm so good. Get got. Get got. I'm so good. Get got. I'm so good. Get got. Get got.
Hello, there is volume now. That is embarrassing. Hello, welcome everybody to my Fruitless, Ennui, Escapism into Computerized Media. I am your host, Juniper Waverly Crow, and today we are doing episodes 2 of 7 Deadly Sins, and then episodes 2 and 3 of Gosick. I did that whole intro twice. First one had no volume. Didn't hit the right button. Thank you, Crap Shoes. I almost did a whole stream volumeless. I would have cried. A lot. Aggressively. The room would have been flooded. There would have been water damage on all of the floorboards. I would have lost my security deposit. So thank you, Crap Shoes. You saved my security deposit. Anyway, to the point, I'm reviewing a show that sucks. So we start off this episode. It's episode 2. Now, last episode, I ended the review with hope for the future. Not really, but I said I had hope. I lied. I lied right to you. I lied right to all of you that I had hope. But I'm pretending I have hope because I want to pretend I'm not being biased here. Hope that maybe it would get better and develop as it goes along. Because I absolutely hated episode 1. Absolute trash. Garbage. Piece of shit. Terrible. Disgusting. Villain. Criminal. Etc. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Crap Shoes. Maybe I will learn. Maybe I will learn to like aspects of this show. However, spoiler alert, I hated this episode too, so you will get at least approximately 32 and a half minutes of me bitching about this episode. Now, I ended last episode, and I thought it was a piece of shit, but I thought about it over the course of today while I was at my job, and I was thinking, well, I kind of hate the start of almost every shonen anime. And I'm like, One Piece started kind of mid and then got really fucking hype. The start of Hunter x Hunter I kind of really disliked, and Hunter x Hunter ended up getting really good. So I'm like, alright, well maybe this will get a little bit better. Maybe I'm being a little too fucking judgy over here. So I gave this one a little bit more of a shot. So it starts out, and it's Elizabeth escaping, which, thank God, there's at least some vague development on her, because she had no personality last episode. This doesn't do that. This doesn't give them a personality, mind you, but it is at least backstory of them escaping, and the fucking Holy Knights are invading the castle and presumably just fucking murdering their dad or kidnapping them. I'm not sure. I was distracted because the fucking door exploded. There's a whole ass fucking magic lightning thing with the door, and it just blows up at the end of the flashback. I forgot most of the dialogue after that happened. I mean, I know this is a magic show, but there hasn't really been a lot of magic shit so far, so I kind of forgot it was magic until there was a fucking door explosion. I don't really think that's per se a thing on the show's fault. I just want to point out I was really distracted by that fucking door shit it threw at me. We finally get the opening, because they didn't decide that we deserved it until this episode precisely. So I'm ready. This is going to be a hype opening. I thought wrong. I'm wrong a lot, like thinking this might be okay. So they gave us the opening. This opening is trash. It is boring as fuck. Well, it's not exactly trash as much as it's just boring and mid as hell. I will forget what this opening sounds like in a week. That's a lie. I lied right to you again. The thing you have learned from this review, more than 7 Deadly Sins is bad, is that I am a liar. So, to continue lying to you, I actually already forgot what this opening sounds like. I do not remember at all. It sounds like something. I know I didn't like it. I watched it an hour and a half ago, so that's pretty bad. But, you know, not my fault that basically every anime has a good opening and you're one of the 12 that doesn't. I'm sorry that the bar's high and you can't jump over any bar that's fucking physically construable by mankind. But that's okay though, because they decide to give a new outfit to Elizabeth, which thank God, because I fucking hated her outfit in the first episode. It was disgusting. You gave her a fucking outfit that is one color fucking leotard shit. I don't know why they wore that. I mean, I guess they're in armor, right? So I guess maybe the idea is that they were really fucking hot in the suit of armor, so they wore this shitty looking leotard. That doesn't explain the sleeves, and that doesn't explain the leggings. So I guess maybe they were too overheated, so they wore the leotard, but then maybe they were too cold. Or maybe the armor rubbed them. I don't know. Either way, the outfit sucked, is the point. So they got her a new outfit, and the outfit's better. You can see it in a lot of the slideshow. Ignore the fact that my fucking some of my computer screens on one of the slides. That's not important. What is important is that this outfit is an improvement. It has one weird sock thing going on. I don't know why they forgot to give her her other sock. I'm going to assume, because they give you a scene where Meliodas fucking gives her the outfit, and he gives her the outfit because he's a pervert, and he's like, this is the fucking sexy bar worker outfit, which Hawk is bitchy about. I don't really know why. Her other outfit was dramatically pervier than this. So this is less pervy, I think. So I don't really... This is at least maintaining stasis of pervy outfit. And she didn't seem embarrassed by other outfits, so honestly, this is a pretty fair assumption for an outfit. I'm just gonna assume fucking Melodious just lost the other thigh sock, because she just has the one. And I'm assuming he lost one of each shoe out of 2 different pairs of shoes, because he also gives them shoes in her exact size. Actually, that is impressive, because this is form-fitting as fuck. So the fact he had an outfit, her exact measurements, is impressive. There's only one personality trait of him so far, though, and that's that he's a pervert, so I am ready to believe he just has a closet of every single possible female body type that he's into. I'm just gonna assume that's the case. I'm 10 minutes into this. I have read one sentence off of my page of notes. This is terrible. I am the least concise bitch on Twitch. That's a lie. More lies. You're welcome. So, you know, they get the new outfit, and they do another couple of perv jokes about the outfit. He flips her skirt. Hawk freaks out. She doesn't really seem that particularly offended. The joke's still not funny. It's just more moe shit. It's not really particularly done with zany animation or absolutely any comedic timing, so it mostly blends together like more dialogue, but not in a way where that feels like the bit, in a way where I feel like they forgot they wrote a bit here. That or they decided to not allot proper time for the bit to land. Then we get an actual scene I was interested in, because Elizabeth finally decides to ask Melodious, why the fuck are you a criminal? You're like a wanted criminal, and I forgot. And they were wondering what his severe crimes were. And then he says it's for stealing a bunch of panties, and they are shocked, and he's like, no, it's not. It's because I groped a bunch of tits, and then that wasn't either. It was 2 more pervert jokes to follow up the other classic moe shit pervert joke from exactly 11 seconds ago. So thank goodness, because I was like, Jesus Christ, I need at least 18 more, or I don't know what I'm watching. So thank God this anime has maintained its stasis of bad humor. This was actually better, though. I will give it some credit. These jokes were better than the joke 11 seconds ago and better than the jokes of the last episode, and it is at least better. There was comedic timing and an attempt here. She legitimately got concerned about that being the crime, and then he very deadpan said, no, he lied. And they did it twice as a fake out. It was a dumb joke, but the comedic timing was actually decent. I will give it credit. It was decent. Led me to believe they were getting better on comedy. Unfortunately, I was immediately disappointed by every single other joke in the episode. They did not maintain this timing for more than 2 jokes. And that's okay, though, because we have gotten to the plot of the episode. The meat and potatoes. The reason we are here. And it took me 12 minutes to get here. I need to hurry up. This is terrible. I have the pacing of a toei anime. So, there's a magical sword stabbed into the floor. You see, this is important. Because you see, they have taken their tavern that is on top of a giant green pig. This is not explained. And they have ridden to a town, and then the pig is reburrowed, placing their tavern next to the town. Because I guess this is where they get a lot of their booze and random shit and supplies from. He likes this town. And you see, he is now dramatically offended because you see his town has a sword stabbed in the middle of it. And now you might be wondering why that's a big deal, but this is the biggest deal because that magic sword is simultaneously preventing every single drop of water from existing. There's no water here. It's gone because there's a sword here. So the water is not real. It's gone. It's barren. All the plants are dying. This is a travesty, not the grass. The grass is there. I guess the grass isn't affected by this, but the herbs in the river, gone. Dunzo Amore because of sword. And none of the citizens can pull this sword out. Very problematic. We actually get, I forgot this. I'm glad I checked my notes. We get some important information that the mustache man, I guess his name was like Twiggo or some shit. I didn't even notice that in last episode. Thank goodness they told me. He wasn't a holy knight, and neither were his goons. And I mislabeled him and his goons as holy knights last episode. So thank goodness I was corrected. Because you see I am foolish. And I misunderstood. And gave such an important label to the wrong ne'er-do-wells. So they are not holy knights. They are pieces of shit, and they are no longer important. As Melodious kindly tells us, holy knights are real shit. Those guys were not real shit. Thank goodness for the clarification. This will be important later. Probably. So, an annoying kid shows up. And when I say annoying kid, I mean this kid is infuriating. This kid makes me want to rip off of my eyelids and find a large spoon to gouge out my eyes and then replace them with some other orb that is less efficient at seeing. I didn't do that, because that was another clever lie. I'm exaggerating, you see, because that's like at least half of my bits, this review, apparently. But that's okay, I'm allowed. It's anime. 90% of this is exaggerating and yelling anyway, right? It's shonen. The bar is low. For comedy. That's why I suck at jokes. But that's okay, because so does the show. And this bitch comes up. His name's fucking Mead. They named this kid Mead. I said I hated this name while watching it, but I think I would probably like this name if it was on, like, some weird chubby ogre bitch of some description. I don't know. I could probably learn to like it. I didn't learn to like it here, though, because Mead shows up and he's yelling about some shit and telling some lies about his friends, the 7 deadly sins, and how they're gonna come up and beat up the holy knights, and the villagers are like, what the fuck, stop your lying, and Mead's like, nah, I ain't lying, and they're like, literally all you do is lie. This is problematic. You have brought nothing but problems and shame to this village, including this fucking sword that has damaged our water supply. That's kind of a lot. You're like gonna cause, like, severe economic damage. This is like a big problem, my guy. and they throw rocks at him and shit, and he's like, fucking hell. And then Melodius is like, you said 7 deadly sins, I happen to know 6 of those guys. So he took them and ran to his tavern to ask him questions about that, because I don't know, I guess Melodius figured, I mean, fuck it, right? He's probably lying, but like, what if he knows though? You know, I don't know. I guess that's what he assumed. I think he's just grasping at straws, honestly. This is also the first implication that he really has no grasp of where his other friends are. And he is looking for them. I have learned that based on this reaction he had to Mead and his blatant lies that he didn't realize were lies yet. So he takes him to the tavern, which is great, because this is just in time for another bad joke about their food. Because if you remember from last episode, if you saw my previous review, they were doing this ongoing bit where Melodius is a shitty cook, you see, and he makes food for his tavern, and then everybody hates it, and he doesn't tell them, and then he gives them the food, and then they're gross, and he's like, yeah, see, that's gross. So he did that bit again. You know, he made him food, gave it to him, and he's like, yeah, your food sucks. This had no comedic timing. It was more just dialogue delivered stoically. I don't know why they keep doing this bit. I don't think they're good at writing bits. There was hope earlier, because they delivered 2 generic pervert jokes pretty decent, pretty okay. They dropped the ball on this returning food joke. But that's okay, because we're getting actual dialogue of vague importance now, because fucking... We learned that the king... Sorry, I gotta backtrack here. Elizabeth is trying to calm down this kid and get him to open up, because they are telling him that when she would be lying and causing hijinks, it was because she wanted the attention from her dad. So maybe the reason he is lying and causing hijinks is because he just wants fucking attention. And he's like, nah-uh. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna tell you about the time I did it anyway. And she tells a bunch of fucking stories about her climbing a tree. Alan, it was a stupid story. But regardless, we do get some important information that the king isn't her real father. It's not elaborated on a lot, but it's at least more information on backstory for Elizabeth, which is good. I will not complain about that. So this story about tree climbing and fake dads inspires Mead to open up and talk about how he is actually, in fact, lying for attention and lied about the 7 deadly sin thing. And he does this for attention because he has dead parents. And he's basically off-brand Usopp, is what I gathered from this. This is basically the Usopp explanation from One Piece. If you ever saw One Piece, we had a whole mind-numbingly long arc very early on where Usopp would lie every day about how pirates are coming to scare the villagers, and then be like, ha, got you, and then they'd be pissed and try to beat the shit out of him. And he's like, oh, thank God someone's paying attention to me. I haven't had the touch of a person since my mom died of pirate cancer and my dad ran away to be a pirate. So, you know, this kid's Usopp. But, you know, Usopp got like 13 to 20 episodes of build-up. And this kid's gotten 5 minutes. That's okay, though. I don't want to see more of him. Don't develop him more, please. Maybe I'll take the L and have a shitty character, because I don't want to see him on screen more. So I see him on screen more, and Mead explains that it is his fault that there is a sword damaging the water supply of the village, because there was a holy knight, an actual holy knight, not like the guy I thought was a holy knight last episode, a real, legitimate, oh shit, that's a holy knight. And this guy came in the village, and they gave him booze, and he's like, yo, your booze sucks. And the kid's like, this guy is a dick. So he grabs a giant maggot and chucks it in the dude's beer. And the guy's like, dude, what the fuck? That's weird. I'm stealing your water for the rest of time so your entire village suffers economically until all of you die of famine. Because, you know, that's a reasonable response, because these are very, very reasonable people. So he throws a sword in there, does all that shit. So it's literally his fault that all of his people are probably going to die in a week. And, yeah, that's a whole ass thing. We then cut over, and so there's some dick-ass fucking knights that work for the Holy Knights. I'm presuming they're not Holy Knights. I'm presuming at this point, based on the dialogue, that Holy Knight is like high-tier ranking, and every other knight that is working for them does not get that. They're just like a knight that works for Holy Knights. That is what I have gathered. So there's some bitch-ass knights that are taxing them for every time they pull on the sword and taxing them for random shit. They're being dicks about it. They're terrible. Just straight up just fucking evil, cocky motherfuckers. Not likable in the slightest. Every villager is pissed because they're like, Jesus Christ, why did that kid fuck us over like this? This is a lot, gang. And then we have an actual, like, a little bit of reason, because the adults kind of get together and they're like, okay, listen, maybe we're being too hard on this kid. Like, yeah, he kind of fucked us over, but like, that guy kind of deserved a maggot in his drink. He was a dick. Like, if he didn't do it, one of us probably would have done it, right? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. And they're like, we should probably be mad at, like, the guy who took our water, not the kid that made him mad, that encouraged him to take our water. And they're like, that makes sense. Let's work together to, like, get the sword out of the ground. But then they fail. Because you see, this is the sword of a holy knight, placed into the ground by a holy knight. So they can't pull it out because they're not dummy strong enough, I guess. And there was a cool scene of them forgiving him, though. I kind of like that. That was a little bit more like adult reasoning than I was expecting from this anime, so I do appreciate that. So then we have Melodious stroll up, and then immediately just pull out the sword. There's not even like a build up or a fake out. He just walks up and just pulls it out like it's like a third of a scene, basically, because fucking done. No shit, Melodious pulls it out. This could have been kind of a fun scene a little bit if they like had a little more build up, but this episode is just kind of like go. Like, my recap of this episode is making these events sound like they took longer, but this just felt like 5 minutes. That is the best and worst thing I will say about this, is that the pacing really fast. If you were binge watching this, you would get through it really fucking fast very easily and not feel like you spent time on it. The problem is it's going really fast, so there's absolutely nothing fucking developed in this fucking show. So he immediately pulls the swords out, and then they're like, oh shit, you pulled out the sword. They're like, thank you, thank goodness. Fucking God. So he solves all of their problems. Problem's over. Plot ended. Turns out all he had to do was just grab the sword the whole time. So I feel like all of this plot was kind of a fucking waste. That's okay though. I'm allowed to waste time sometimes, like watching this fucking show. So anyway, so then they all get inside the tavern and they're all celebrating because thank goodness our entire town isn't going to be in peril anymore. Thank goodness. And then they do another shitty sex joke because we didn't have enough moe bits for the episode. They have a quota to meet, gang. So they fucking have this shitty sex joke about it being Elizabeth's first time, and Melodious is being a pervert about it, trying to get her to repeat it, and she's like nervous, not because of any other reason outside she's nervous because it's actually her first time being a waitress. Whole bits that she doesn't understand how her phrasing is sexual, and Melodious is egging her on, trying to make it sound more sexual. It's almost like the bit from Steins Gate about how Christina accidentally was saying things sexual in a group of nerdy virgins who kept egging her on about it, except, you know, that bit kind of worked better because Christina actually got pissed at them because they're being fucking idiots. And Steins Gate is actually a good anime, but that joke sucked. Not funny, just kind of annoying. More Melodious being a pervert, and I've had my quota of this. I don't know how you managed to be a more annoying pervert than Sanji in One Piece, but you have managed to achieve it. Somehow you have managed to be more annoying than Sanji literally screaming at the screen. I don't know if it's because your jokes are just more poorly written, there's less timing, or if it's because Sanji, the other 50% of the time, is an endearing character. Probably the second one. Regardless, after this shitty bit, we then have a bunch of slapstick of her attempting to be a waitress and doing a bad job. This could have been funny if they would have done something zany and slapsticky about it, but it's not really that animated. They just didn't make it funny. Just wasn't that much movement. Somebody vaguely mentions a spooky forest. This is like one sense of dialogue, and then they rush past it. So we know the spooky forest will be important eventually. Foreshadowing. They say how it's spooky and no one should go there. Then we go back to the Holy Knights. The Holy Knight that originally put the sword in the ground. We go back to him, and he's basically chilling there, and they're like, yo, a guy pulled your sword out. It was probably a fluke. And he's like, me, a Holy Knight, putting a sword in the ground could be removed by a mere fluke. And they're like, no, you're right. He must be like OP or some shit. He's probably the protagonist. And he's like, oh, fuck the protagonist. You know what? Give me your spear. Give me that javelin. And then this bitch throws it in the air with dialogue that is already immediately telling me that he's gonna fucking spike this bitch in the face from a billion yards away. Just doing that. He has observation hockey or some shit. I don't fucking know. But he's doing a perfect toss to murder him from hundreds of miles away, presumably from his fucking tower, which probably would have been really cool. That's a fun power scaling thing. I don't know. That sounds fun. I've seen things done like that in One Piece that were done really well. Not to mention One Piece too much. It has 1,070-something chapters. So believe it or not, they've done fucking every other shonen thing at this point. So I kind of can't not think of a thing One Piece has done. So, you know, he throws that. I thought that was somewhat of a cool character trait. I don't think the betrayal was done exactly well. I think they could have done it better. I think a lot of it is honestly just hindered by the pacing being too fast, because I don't feel invested in any of what has happened so far. It's just felt like it's rushing past shit and nothing feels important yet. So maybe if this episode happened like a little bit further in, after I got time to maybe care about any of these characters, maybe then this cool feat would matter more. But that's okay, because then we go back to the fucking tavern, or at least outside of it, and Melodius has strolled out. Because he's like, oh, fuck. My spidey senses have told me that there is a javelin being thrown at me from hundreds of miles away from a tower somewhere. I don't know how. It is not yet explained. It will probably be explained at some point, but currently I have no clue why the fuck he knows this. He says so in vague dialogue to himself and not to anyone in particular. They have a scene that was at least a tiny bit funny. I chuckled a little bit, where Elizabeth was doing a whole emotional "you saved me" bullshit thing the whole time. Melodius is actually just talking about the fucking spear that he's looking for in the sky and is just ignoring all of her dialogue until like the last sentence. That was a little bit enjoyable. A little bit. Would really like some character development that's not bits, though. Especially when a lot of these bits aren't good. But that's okay, because Javelin falls from the sky, Melodius fucking catches it, then flies like a billion fucking yards back into the town, crashing through a building, sliding the whole way. But you see, he is so dummy strong, he still is holding spear in hand. And then it turns out he also has the exact identical power as that Holy Knight guy, and throws the spear back hundreds and hundreds of yards, all the way back to the tower, hundreds in the castle, hundreds of yards away, which destroys the fucking tower, which is aggressive strength, and then lands like a couple of inches exactly next to this guy's head, exactly just grazing the cheek of this Holy Knight bitch that threw it in the first fucking place. Which, that was some fucking shonen bullshit. I think I would like that if maybe Melodius had more moxie and a little more cockiness to him. And if maybe there was more, like, banter and build-up of these two characters, I think, honestly, I could have gotten into the scene. And that's kind of my problem, honestly, with this episode. Is there's a lot of bits and pieces that I could see being good and endearing if there was more build-up, and if there was more proper dialogue to flesh out these characters in between all of this. But the pacing and the writing just made all of these moments just feel very dramatically flat. Nothing hit particularly well in any direction in this. It was all just very bland, and by the end of it, I'm like, well, it passed fast, but you left essentially zero impression in most directions. Now, I'm mad and I hate it. I hated every bit of this. This was trash. Garbage. Episode 2 was also garbage. Absolutely despised it. A lot of that, though, is because I'm analyzing it and trying to pay a lot of attention and write down what is happening in the plot. If I'm being real, if I would have watched this 10 years ago, I probably would have just forgotten the whole plot because so much of this hit so flat. I'm more just frustrated because I can see vague potential for things that might have been decent and then they just didn't. I don't know if the writers are incompetent or if they just don't care, but this failed to invoke a good emotional reaction from me for any of the events going on screen. It was bland, just wasn't fucking good. But anyway, that spooky forest they mentioned earlier, it's apparently the Forest of White Dreams. And they're like, well, shit, bitch can throw spears from wherever the fuck, just to wherever the fuck we're at. So maybe we should get the fuck out of here and go to that spooky forest because no one wants to go to the spooky forest. So they probably won't fuck with us there. And then Melodious is like, yeah, I probably have a friend there because, you know, they're probably, that makes sense for them to hide there. And so then we go there. And that's the end of the episode. It's trash. Not a fan. I'm hoping maybe next episode we get any kind of character development besides more perv jokes. Maybe some backstory on Melodious. Something to give me something to sink teeth into. But so far, this is just a shallow series of overdone shonen tropes and moe shit. None of which is being inventive on the tropes either. It's all just produced with very lazy visuals and very lazy animation. It feels like a cash grab. This feels like capitalism, the anime. It feels like this is an easy anime to make a lot of money off of people who don't care that hard about what they're watching. And we're just going to make some characters we can make some easy figurines of. Which, given the amount of times I've heard Seven Deadly Sins mentioned, I guess you succeeded if that was your only goal. So, good on you for that one, I suppose. After this, I then reviewed Gosick. So I watched episodes 2 and 3. Because you see, I am a dumb bitch, and I forgot that I require sustenance to be alive. So after finishing episode 1, I realized I needed to eat before I streamed so I didn't pass out and become a corpse, like 90% of the cast in this episode. So I made an omelet and smashed the fuck out of it and watched another episode. So you're getting 2 episodes. Congratulations. I bet you are so delighted. So last episode was good, and it was a lot of setup, a little slow, you know. It's trying to set up an anime, and honestly, a lot of first episodes of things I kind of don't vibe with too hard. It is very, very hard to do a good first episode, and they did an okay job. They got me intrigued, which is honestly what is the most important thing, and they left off on a good cliffhanger. So I was excited going into episode 2, and honestly, it did not disappoint. It starts off, they're in the boat that they got an invitation from, and we know that the murderer from episode 1 has escaped, and it is dramatically obvious this is going to be a trap of some vague description. This is a very awkward dinner. Just a lot of stuffy rich people eating and not talking. There's kind of a little bit of funniness here, because Victorique is eating, and Yuigioh just doesn't have fucking dick for food. And when he is bitching about it, she points out that they had one invitation, and they came on a stolen invitation of one person. Therefore, there's only enough food for one person. And this leads to some more funny banter, when Yuigioh asks if they have any snacks packed before remembering that amongst a billion other items, the snacks she did in fact bring were one of the things that he threw away, saying it wasn't important to bring. So he in fact cucked himself out of being able to eat. Then she shoves bread in his mouth and he eats it. So that scene ends. It was a little bit funny. Fun bantery dialogue. Nothing impressive, but we get a nice flashback for Yuigioh, and he suffers child abuse. We see him just on the floor getting his absolute shit kicked in by presumably his parents and his brothers. Because you see, they tell us he is the third son of a strong Japanese army man. And these are maybe his brothers. Maybe one of them's the dad. Not really sure, it's vague. But they're family members beating the shit out of him for being the least important son and for not being a man enough. and beating him to instill toxic masculinity within his veins to be a strong Japanese man to carry their blood. But also he's the third rank, so even if he does a good job, they won't really recognize him in port because feudalism sucks. And this is cool because, you know, nothing makes me more endeared and able to relate to a character than rampant child abuse. So, you know, I forgot this happened from the first time I watched it. So this is cool, because Yuigioh kind of has basic anime man syndrome, and he looks generic as fuck. So this immediately is giving me information to know that he is actually, at least, presumably going to have more development and more than meets the eye, which is better than what I assumed, because last episode he kind of seemed like he was going to be boring protag-kun in a sea of actual interesting characters. But they're trying to develop him here in this little tiny flashback, but it only took up maybe 3 seconds, and a lot of this is just me making assumptions of how he will be developed later. Everybody wakes up. People were knocked the fuck out. Turns out all that food they ate, that Yuigioh was ironically bitching about how he wasn't getting any at first. It was all drugged. They got drugged the fuck up, and they all woke up. I had to check my notes to see the order of operations here. So they were all drugged. There's a frantic rich lady that I will proceed to never learn the name of, that is grasping at the doors, saying how they're locked and freaking the fuck out. And Victorique points out how there's one extra person on board than was here earlier. She's not sure who it is, but the count she has for people is one more than it was earlier, which is clearly not a good sign. So after Rich Lady shrieks, she points out that there is some blood writing on the wall. Essentially, this blood writing is implying that they are all rabbits on a ship meant to be slaughtered, and they should probably fucking run about it. It's something more vague and poetic, but that's basically the gist of it. That is relevant for the course of this review. There's also this scene where Yuigioh leans on a model of a ship. It is a model of this ship from a book he read earlier. From a ghost story he read. And an arrow that triggers a booby trap, and an arrow nearly kills him. So he's like, well, fucking shit, that sucks. So that all happens. He freaks out, lights go off again. Somebody reaches for the door, they open the door, and then immediately an arrow shoots out and murders him. I don't know what his name was, but I mean, I guess I don't have to learn it now. Thank God, because I already have too many notes. So he dies. They all freak the fuck out. He gets knifed in the fucking face. Victorique, they have a nice piece of info here. Well, less really info, more character shit. Because she basically just walks past the body and doesn't give a fuck. And this doesn't tell us a lot, but it tells us that she's either mad traumatized or just really, really has no empathy and needs therapy. Well, I guess either way they need therapy, I suppose. Either way, they don't give a fuck about the body, and this is taken note of intentionally. And then we cut to a bunch of men clamoring to try to get onto a boat to escape into the water. It's like, I think 4 of them. They all successfully got on a lifeboat and try to escape before immediately also dying. So I have now seen more people die in this show than I've seen characters introduced, which is usually a bad sign. I usually get less invested when I know you are just wildly killing characters for sport that quickly without developing them. But it's also a mystery anime, so I'm kind of cutting it some slack here, because mystery anime be doing that for the sake of developing a mystery sometimes, and thankfully by the end of the episode I kind of decided that was true and it was okay and worth it. Let's see, let me check my notes here. Another person was found dead on the way out for that. I actually forgot about that. They just walked up, he was dead. I guess they're like, fuck, we got 11 people, we gotta kill them really quick. We only have so much time in this episode. They return to the first room, and they find that it's now dramatically aged and spooky, looking like they're on a ghost ship. And the corpse that was in here earlier is gone. And essentially the implication we are given here is that we're supposed to basically get the impression that ghosts are afoot. And we're told that this is a model ship that is basically a replica of that boat that our lovely protagonist touched earlier to trigger the arrow. And there's an old man named Maurice who is now spooked as fuck, because this ship is also the replica of a ship that was used years and years and years ago for a child-to-death game, where the children were also called rabbits and murdered each other in the death game. So basically, we get some dialogue here about, oh no, the ghosts of the dead children here to kill us. Ah, spooky, oh no. We learn the names of the last 3 people living. I don't learn any of their names. They tell me, I don't remember any of them except Maurice, who is the old guy I just mentioned, who basically exists here to give us said exposition I just gave you. He's apparently a leftover from the original death game the children were in. He claims, though, that he just existed to mostly clean up the dead bodies, and he didn't have any actual personal hand in it, so please do not hate him or single him out. He feels uncomfortable and pressured. The other guy is a rich blonde guy who's an actor. And the rich girl that was shaking the locked door and screaming hysterically earlier. And then, of course, our 2 protagonists, Victorique and Yuigioh. So after getting this exposition, we then have Victorique basically walk around and very pompously investigate the area. She finds a wine bottle that appears to be like it would be from the old ghost ship, except the fact that the actual wine does not taste that of a wine that would be that fucking old and smells way too new and fresh. And then they also smelt the walls, and the walls smelt like fresh paint, which an old ghost ship should not smell like fresh fucking paint. So she deduces that this is in fact a room that is made to look like a ghost room. Maurice gets pissed as fuck about this and is like, why the fuck would you think that? Fuck you. There's a corpse missing. This is definitely ghosts. It is noted that why the fuck is this guy this fucking defensive right now? But Victorique doesn't comment on that too long, because then she has Yuigioh lead them to another room that is nearby, and it turns out these doors aren't actually locked. None of them were locked. That was a lie, which makes our lady from the beginning that said they were locked also look suspicious. So at least 2 out of the 3 remaining people alive definitely are fucking sketched somehow. And they go into another room, and it turns out that is the real first room. The room they were just in is an exact replica room of the first room made to look like it was old. And they were just led in here and tricked to believe it was the first room in order to make them think there were ghost shit happening, in order to be spooky. But Victorique is OP and doesn't have time for that mystery fucking hijinks bullshit, and just already spoiled it way too early. So that happens. Let me peek at my notes here. Evidently, whomever is actually in charge of this spooky, poorly going hijinks, I guess, realizes that they are finding this mystery out too quickly because the boat starts to flood. But it is Maurice panicking about this again, making him look even more fucking suspicious. And they yell about how the ship is flooding, and they have to go run to the radio room, which will be soon cut off by the fucking flooding. And they need to call because, dude, our fucking boat's flooding. Save our fucking shit. We have some more character development here about Yuigioh and his savior complex, some dialogue between Yuigioh and Victorique. A lot happened in this episode. I am trying to be as concise as possible and not too cluttered, but there's just a lot of shit they packed into this 25 minutes. But Yuigioh and Victorique talk for a bit. We don't know a lot about Victorique yet, but she is being tsundere as fuck and is bad at accepting help. Yuigioh, we don't know a lot, but we know his family was kind of low-key abusive at least, and we know he feels a lot of pressure because he is the 3rd son, and that means no matter what he does, he will always be looked down on more than his brothers who are important. So we know that he has a weird savior complex where he feels like he has to overachieve and protect everybody because he was basically beaten into believe that is the role of a man and he has to do it. And he also believes that if he doesn't do it really fucking hard, he'll just feel insecure. It will hurt his man pride. So we have this nice dynamic here that we're getting through tiny snippets, what the fuck? Tiny snippets of dialogue throughout the episode between Victorique and Yuigioh, where we have this nice dynamic of she can't accept help from fucking anybody because of trauma, and he feels an overbearing need to help her anyway because otherwise he can't feel like a man about it. So they're both toxic in the opposite directions here, but it's sort of working and functional, because he is learning to be humbled a little bit because she's just fucking smarter than him and is actually capable, and she's learning to actually let him help her a little bit because he's at least able to be physically helpful, and she's like fucking petite and basically made of fucking glass. So he carries her through some water. There's some walking scenes and some panicking. We get to the climax of the episode where basically Maurice panics more, freaking out about how he assumes amongst the last remaining people, one of them has to be a plant that is sent here to make sure that the murders continue and nothing goes well, because in the original Death game, there was somebody who was a plant who was sent there to make sure everybody still kills each other. So he doesn't know who it is, but he knows it has to be one of them, so he pulls out a gun to fucking shoot them. And fucking Yuigioh, being I gotta protect fucking Victorique Complex McGee, immediately is a human meat shield, and then we hear a gunshot and the episode closes. This is a good cliffhanger, and I immediately go into the next episode, and we learn that Maurice is now dead, and he was immediately shot by the rich lady who just pulled out a gun and fucking killed him, no questions asked, no hesitation, which is very interesting because the rich pompous lady she presented herself to be probably shouldn't be that good at murdering people cold blood. So she is now triple Decker sketch. Blonde guy has continued to have no character input of any description. Let's see, Yuigioh gives some more dialogue. Saying how he's the third son. We learn a little bit more about how he is insecure about that, but prideful about it at the same time. So it's sort of a conflicting thing where this is simultaneously something that was said to demean him, but also something he feels like he has to hold on his sleeve and defend. Probably because it was beaten into him that he has to be strong, manly man and protect everybody. So again, more interesting development. I kind of like it because a lot of the things he's doing are kind of generic, right? Like, a lot of this is generic, I gotta protect everyone shonen pro-tag guy shit. This isn't a shonen, but, you know, shonen man shit, right? But they're giving him actual good character reasons for why he's doing it, and they're making him out to be a good, honest person, but they're not giving him exactly wholesome reasons for why he is feeling inspired to do it. So I kind of like that, because when he's prompted about it, he does admit that a lot of this is a weird pride thing, and he can't handle his pride being hurt. So I like the honest nature of this, that he's kind of honest, that he's on some toxic man shit. It's good character shit. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's certainly more than I expected based on the first episode. So it turns out we're lucky that I didn't know much about Blonde Guy or learn his name, because Blonde Guy is immediately dead. Victory fakes being scared, though, by this, freaking the fuck out, and calls over Yuigioh, and then basically says in his ear that they need to be careful, and then loudly proclaims that her, Rich Lady, and Yuigioh need to fucking run. So they all fucking run, and then they yell to hide in a room and get a weapon as quick as possible. So they do that, and then they hide with all the lights out, and we see Yuigioh grab some brass knuckles because he's about this shit, I guess. So we then see somebody sneaking up, and they open the door, and they have a giant fucking battle axe, because I don't fucking know, it's anime. I don't fucking know. He can't have he can't have a convenient murder weapon like a gun. That would probably ruin the plot. So we get it turns out to be Blonde Guy, basically. It's Blonde Guy. He was not dead. He was laying on the floor, fake being dead. And he put a fucking baseball underneath his armpit to fake not having a pulse. I guess that's a thing. I didn't Google it. I didn't fact check it. I'm gonna just assume it's right. I don't have time in this review for a fact check. So basically, Victorique was spooked because at this point, it kind of seemed too obvious to her that he was likely the culprit faking it. And that's why she ran, to basically force him to get out of hiding, which seemed to work. So the lights are on now, and he has a fucking axe, and he's ready to murder the fuck out of these people. But luckily, it turns out that at some point, while Yuigioh was on his I gotta be big, manly, strong protector, he actually learned how to fucking throw hands, because he just walks up and fucking bops him in the face with brass knuckles and just fucking lays him the fuck out. Which was actually kind of cool, because I didn't think he fucking would. I thought he was just gonna be a bitch, like some weird Shinji shit, but he just fucking laid him out. So I'm like, alright, well, you're on some weird savior complex shit, but you actually have the fucking balls to be a savior. So that's fun. Blonde guy is like mad determined to kill them though. So they're running and almost to the radio room, but he re-shows up, axe in hand, fucking clocks rich lady, doesn't kill her, just chokes her with a really veiny arm and throws her to the side. Victorique runs in the radio room. We get a speech from fucking Yuigioh about how I'm gonna save you, and she's like, I want you to come with me, and he is about to give her a very specific moral explanation for why, well, I invited you here, so therefore I have to, sacrifice myself for you. And then she's like, no, I definitely also put pressure to come here. This is my decision. That's a stupid argument. He then drops the argument because he's like, you're right, it's stupid. The truth is I'm selfish and I just want to protect you. So then he has them close the door and then goes to do that. So we have another cool scene of him doing something where he's actually dramatically honest about his motives, which I kind of appreciate. It leads to unique dialogue in this circumstance that I kind of enjoy. So he gets in a fucking fight and throws hands with this guy and just starts getting his shit kicked in. And this reminds him of when he was a child getting his shit kicked in. So he gets some more trauma flashbacks, which the power of childhood trauma manages to power him through to get some more hits in and slam him against the fucking railing. However, he is not stronger than Blonde Guy, who starts beating the shit out of him more, but the rich lady that Blonde Guy failed to murder with the axe when he had ample opportunity to earlier, grabs the axe that landed on the floor and then murders the fuck out of him. And now the last antagonist is dead, so they finally radio and begin their way home. And then we have a lovely quick exchange from Victorique and Yuigioh, where she is being very tsundere, pretending to not care that he's alive, but gives him a smile that is implying genuine happiness and not expecting him to be alive, and showing us that, Jesus Christ, these two are now trauma bonded as fuck. And they then romantically look at sparkling water together and are way too happy to be alive. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, these two are trauma bonded as fuck. Jesus Christ. Last episode, when I reviewed it, I said I predict the romance element in this anime will be very poorly done, and that it will probably be a good mystery show, but the romance, I'm assuming, is going to be kind of ham-fisted because it's anime and they pretty much dropped the ball on every romance ever. I might be wrong. I don't know. So far, the romantic elements, while some of them were a little awkwardly forced, I do believe these characters would kind of be way too easy to fall for somebody in a situation, because Yuigioh is very weird, like, naive guy about shit. This is probably the first woman he's looked at for more than 2 seconds, so I believe he would very easily fall for a person. And then Victorique, we have been given ample implication by this point that she has been isolated as fuck forever, so the fact that she is doing a thing with literally anybody is already impressive. I mean, come on, last episode she was excited to see an ice cream stand for the first time, so it's believable, and now they are just very displayed to be mad trauma bonded. So I'm like, okay, well, I was worried this romance would be poorly written, but you've given them enough trauma-bonded scene in this episode that even if it's poorly written, I'll still believe they're still in a toxic relationship by the end of it. So, that was all good. But then I remember this is a murder mystery, and this is a fucking mystery show. Because then, by the time the boat lands, fucking Inspector Pompadour bitch, I forgot the name of, he shows up and then arrests the rich lady. And it turns out that she is the real culprit of this entire fucking everything. And they go to a room to basically interrogate her on why the fuck any of this happened. And then Victorique, being Victorique, now gets to do her pompous Sherlock Holmes routine of telling you how literally everything fucking happened. So basically, Rich Lady Chick is one of the kids from the original murder game. And she wanted to get revenge on all the dumb bitches that were rich assholes from the murder game. Turns out Blonde Guy was also a plant from the OG murder game, so he was a carryover. And then Maurice was one of the people orchestrating it, so he lied about not having a major role into it, ironically to a lady he didn't know was one of the children he traumatized. And it turns out that fortune teller that was fucking shot in the first episode by the maid was actually also in on it. So she also wanted revenge on the maid, and that explains, or revenge on the fortune teller, and that explains how this interconnects with the mystery plot of the first episode, which by this point I totally forgot about, so they didn't even need to tie those loose ends, but they did anyway, so I appreciate it. I respect it when a show cares more about its loose ends and its plot than I keep track of. I feel like if you're writing a story, you should know it better than me. I feel like that in my heart of hearts. However, in my experience consuming various media, that is often not the case, and I'm usually let down. I wasn't let down here, though, and that is quite impressive, and I'm very happy about it. We also get a lovely scene where it turns out that the maid that killed the fortune teller in the first episode was also part of that very same OG murder game and is actually the friend of the rich lady that started this whole revenge murder game. So they had this lovely scene where the cops who are arresting the lady from the first episode and the cops now arresting this lady from the second and third episode walk the two criminal murderers by each other, and they realize that they are indeed both carrying out the revenge plots at the same time, and it's kind of cute and wholesome. And they have a cute thing where the rich lady throws a pendant that the maid gave her during the OG murder game at her to confirm that, hey, I'm that bitch. And then she's like, oh shit, you're that bitch? And they're like, yeah, that's wholesome. And they're like, yeah, it's too bad we're getting the death penalty, right? And they're like, yeah, that sucks. I don't know if they get the death penalty. I don't know if the death penalty was legal in the 1920s and fucking Victorian era shit. I have no idea. I don't know history. Doesn't matter. Not important. This is an anime. I'm gonna assume they don't know history either. At least I would. But they do have some weird dialogue. And I'm not gonna sum this up very much because I'm gonna do a poor job. But basically, there's also a little bit here where the fortune teller essentially did the OG murder game as a weird way of fortune telling. And I guess, in early World Wars, there was a weird thing where governments were using fortune tellers to try to predict shit. So they do some weird tying in to historical event shit and some weird fortune telling shit here that sounded all fine and good and smart in the context of the plot and helped explain some more loose ends. I'm not going to really elaborate it on here, though, because I will do a poor job, honestly. I would have to take a lot of notes to accurately recap that, but it was entertaining. Overall, a good episode. Finally, we get back to the school, and I remember this is an anime that's supposed to take place at a school. Holy shit, a lot happened in 2 episodes. Jesus fucking Christ, this is such a flip from the other anime I'm watching right now. And basically, fucking Inspector Pompadour bitch gets the credit again, and fucking Yuigioh is pissed as fuck about it, and Victorique really doesn't care, and she's like, yeah, my brother is cocky as fuck. And this is cool because it reveals that Inspector Pompadour bitch is her brother. This is the first time that anime characters having the same hair color was actually relevant for their heritage in the history of anime. Jesus Christ. That's a lie. That's not true. Guess what? I'm still lying to you. That's right. The lying is back. You're welcome. I be lying sometimes. Mostly on the internet. So they're related. And then we finally get some backstory on Victorique. And it turns out that this brother, they're from the same family, which is a rich as fuck important family for reasons. We don't know why they're important yet, but the implication is that they're important, rich and wealthy. But she is the child of a mistress, presumably from an affair, while he is actually the more blood member of the family. So because of that, and it's the 1920s and she's a woman, she is dramatically ostracized for this and spent basically her entire childhood and development years in a fucking dungeon, which is why she has very isolated and does not have a very good grasp of the outside world. She has now replaced the dungeon for being locked in the upper area of this library, presumably. They don't tell us that, but we did get the implication from Inspector Pompadour in the first episode that she's not allowed to leave without his permission. So we do know that her continued captivity is continuous. I assume either just to the school or just to the library, but we don't know. But either way, she says this very nonchalantly and stoically, which is another thing I appreciate, because in my personal experience from talking about my own childhood trauma and the childhood trauma I have heard from many of my friends, there is a dramatic amount of not giving emotional credence to your own trauma and talking about your trauma way too casually, like what happened wasn't that big of a deal, and distancing yourself from it almost like you're reciting a recipe and not like you're reciting something that was holy shit, dude, that's a lot. And that's kind of what Victorique does here. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if they just wanted to keep with the stoic Victorian shit for the vibes. I'm not really sure. Either way, intentionally or otherwise, I thought it was a nice touch. She then basically bitches at Yuigioh, though, for a little bit of comedic relief, saying that he has to go find another mystery for her because she's bored as fuck and will die of boredom. He's like, what the fuck? You're kind of putting pressure on me. That's some expectations. And she's like, I am your only friend. You have no fucking friends at all. So, like, bro, you can't really afford to lose me. And he's like, that's kind of rude, but you're right. And then she falls asleep, and he's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then the episode ends. Great episode. Previous episode, great episode. Very fast, 2-part mystery. All of the deaths were very fucking rushed, honestly. Like, they didn't really matter. It didn't feel like they mattered. Thankfully, I didn't really feel like the anime wanted me to care that they died. It felt like the anime just wanted you to focus on the mystery, and it felt like a lot of the fast-pacedness of it was more to try to make it less obvious who the murderer was and what was going on, and kind of like they wanted to get to more other shit happening. So, all in all, I would normally give them a lot of flack for the unimportant death thing, but I feel like the anime just honestly made the right move there, because pacing-wise, it worked, it kept me invested, and it made more development for the actual characters that are important, and it's a mystery show. So, you know, I expected that out of a mystery, and I got a good mystery. So, quality content, enjoyed it a lot. I look forward to the 4th episode. All right, and we are hitting the 1 hour mark. So I am going to do a wee bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Masterduel before I end the stream. Not going to do a terribly large amount. Serviceable amount. I will do a couple rounds of it. Let me switch over. Bloop, there we go. Let me see if that popped up. It did. Tremendous. Now let me just change the description of the stream to be Yuigioh, because I am not doing a talk show right now. This is not technically a Let's Play because there's a video game existing vaguely within it. Because, you know, at this point, the definition of a podcast and a fucking Let's Play are fucking vague as shit. Let's see, Yuigioh. Is it gonna pop up for me immediately? It is tremendous. I have to do that right away. It's not my preference to make it that obvious I'm doing technical shit on stream, but I'm gonna be real. I don't think I'm good at remembering that in particular, so I'm just gonna do that fucking obvious. See if anybody watching this on the archives has watched any of my others, or watched my previous stream. I was playing Crystal Beasts, so I'm gonna play some more Crystal Beasts. I had some pretty fun wins last time, and I also had some pretty fun losses. All in all, it was a really good time. I got decked the fuck out in one duel, but it was like a really creative decking me the fuck out thing, so honestly, it was kind of hype. Alright, that was shitty pulls from that booster pack. I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen. I've been lying to you all stream, so why not continue lying? Turn that down a little bit, make sure it's an odd number, because I like my volume at odd numbers. Let me see my audio. Okay, that desktop audio looks good. Alright, 3 more wins to Platinum 5. Alright, that is unfortunate. I suppose after my performance on those last couple duels, I really shot myself in the foot there. Alright, ooh, going first though. This is tremendous though. I have had such a lucky streak on coin flips. It has been outrageous. Okay, cool. We start off with our Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. That is good. I kind of need that to start with. Maxi, that's not that bad, actually. That doesn't really hurt me too terribly. I don't want to use that on Maxi. That will save me a thing, right? I mean... you know what? I'm not going to use it. I don't think I really... Because I'm not going to special summon that much. Alright, gonna use Rainbow Bridge as a heart to destroy my turtle. This poor turtle. Wait, actually, let me look at this bitch. Nah. Nah, I'm destroying my turtle. And get Crystal Bond. I do want Conclave. I really need Conclave, honestly. That is one problem with this deck, is I kind of need Rainbow Bridge of the Heart and Conclave really bad, and I don't always have the resources to get both, and I kind of have to do a weird thing about that, and be a little more choosy than I'd like. I'd like to be able to consistently have those turn 1 every single solitary duel, but that has just not realistically been the case. And put Called By down. I see a mistake here. I put Called By down and now I have no free spell zones, and that will make my Pegasus not be able to turn to a crystal on the board. So I have to basically use Called By really fucking quick. Worst case scenario, I at least will try to waste it before they do battle phase. Scoop some water during this turn. Love you. Oh, basically talk non-stop for a fucking hour. Damn. Impressive. I mean, I normally do that on stream, but in my reviews I talk like I'm on fast forward, so fit a lot more words in that hour than a usual hour of my stream. Chill, I got an excuse to use Called By the Grave. I was really thinking I would not have an excuse to use Called By the Grave. I mean, I'm using it on Dark Magician, right? So, like... they have two in the graveyard, so I don't think it's actually mattering. But I kind of just want to make sure I have an extra free slot. Ah, shit. They got rid of my bridge. That's really unfortunate. Hope I draw good then. This is unfortunate. Looks like I am about to get wrecked here. Plus that I got this bitch in my hand, then I got a good amount of crystal beasts on my back row. But if I don't draw good next turn, that's not gonna help me at all. Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that being a thing I can do during their attack. That is tremendous information. Okay, excellent. I have protected my life points. Now, what I am going to do next, I'm not sure. Hopefully I draw good. I did. Excellent. That is exactly what I needed. And they have a 0-card hand, which is perfect. Because I really cannot afford this to be negated. Nah, I cannot attack their life points currently, fam. Noxrill, thank you so much for the follow, you gorgeous human being, you. I presume human. I don't know, per se. But I appreciate the comment, and I appreciate so fucking much the, Sorry, reading what the fuck this does. I appreciate the follow and the comment. Thank you so much. I cannot attack the life points yet, though, unfortunately. If I could, I would. Ah, Crystal Beacon. Fuck yeah. That is exactly the kind of thing I needed. They're getting our Dark Magician, but they have Eternal Soul on the field. So that's kind of good. Because this card, basically, if I destroy it, everything on their board dies. So that's kind of a good, easy out. But Noxrill, you wonderful, wonderful new human in my chat. Are you a first-time viewer just finding my stream randomly, or do I know you IRL? Either way, I hella appreciate you showing up. Alright. That sucks a lot. Fuck. I really needed to keep that dragon on the board. That is horrendous. Rest in peace, my hopes and dreams. Now I got a back row of crystals that I can't use for anything. Now if I draw good again next turn without dying, I will be in a good place, but it's not looking like I'm gonna get that here. Yeah, you basically have game here. Yeah, I have lost. I have gotten turbo murdered. Rest in peace, my hopes and dreams. Here comes my demise. Rest in peace. Yum. Man, I really fucked up not having that crystal fucking conclave, didn't I? I don't think that would have saved me, honestly. I think there was a few missteps I did, but that was definitely one of them. Man, I am doing bad getting to platinum with crystals right now. I'm gonna keep trying. I think I can get it. I think. Man, the streak of going first continues, though. That is tremendous. Oh, they just immediately quit. Alright, got it. I will never stream Yu-Gi-Oh! Masterduel and not get a random, completely unearned victory. Oh, and I leveled up. Sexy. Sexy as hell. Let me edit my deck a little bit, though. Because I need to make this bitch a little more consistent. Struggling with that a little bit. I'm having a lot of times I'm not running into things I need. Let me see. I'm gonna look up some deck list tips. I know I heard people playing Duelist Academy in Crystal Beasts. What rarity? What rarity is that card? Oh, you are an SR. Tremendous. Well, I'll add that. Let's see, and that gives me any field spell, right? Yeah, any field spell. So let me get another. If I send that, that's like a free fucking Crystal Beast and a free, yeah. We get that for a little consistency. What can I really take out here is my question. Got one copy of Droplet, I suppose. I don't know, I kinda be needing that. Well, then help me that tool, though. Alright, I'll leave it at 41 for now. I could really use another copy of fucking Crystal Bond. Let me see. Do I have anything I can dismantle? Let me see. I have any URs I do not need. So another copy of Crystal Bond would save me immensely. Huh? Don't want you. Not gonna use you or you. That is actually tremendous. Forgot I got those pulls. Okay, so let me generate another one of you, because that is immediately gonna help absurdly. And now I gotta take on our thing. Fucking. I'm gonna save it. I might remove another card later. I probably will later, but I'm gonna keep the extra 2 cards for now. Apologies for the chihuahua on stream. Robert? This animal. This loud animal. I'm gonna hold you until you shut the fuck up. See you and your crystal piece destroyed by battle. Oh, that's actually not bad. I'm not really, the goal of my deck isn't exactly to bring out any ultimate crystals, so I'm not really sure I'm going to use that at all. But, nevertheless, that is a good card if that is the goal of your deck. So maybe if I make a version of the deck that's more geared for that, maybe I'll actually get used to that. Alright, gonna use Foolish Goods Burial. I just add an extra copy of that in the deck, so that is very good to start out with. Do they negate it? Do you negate? They do not. Though I do get the option to negate my own card here. I'm not gonna fucking do that, obviously. Downside of playing 3 copies is that means I have 2 draws that are probably gonna be a pain in the ass for me. Because I'm gonna draw. I have the possibility of drawing more Foolish Burials I really don't exactly want later, but first turn is kind of the most important. So that is fine. See whomst I got in my hand? Nobody, basically. So I'm going to start with my Pegasus, and I'm going to get that Dual Academy. I'm going to lay that on the board, because I do not particularly mind if that's what they negate. Alright, and I normal summon Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. Looking like I'm probably facing fucking Dark Magician again. Dark Magician is just swarming so fucking hard in this game right now. It is outrageous. Alright, now the effective Dual Academy here. If I activate Crystal Miracle, that is activating a trap card, and seeing I have a beast on the field, I can destroy a card they control. Now it does target. It's a little inconvenient, but that is helpful nonetheless. Gonna let that go through. They're playing Dark Magician, so I do kind of want to be able to destroy their signature trap card. I think it's called Eternal Soul. So I destroy Eternal Soul, that always wipes their board, which is way too fucking helpful. Alright, well, they had a dud of a turn, so that is actually very good on my end. So my turn was not particularly impressive. Not doing super great here either. We did get Conclave, which is nice. And I'm going to attack directly for 18. Do you negate? You do have a trap card. You do not negate. That is fine. That is your God-given right to let me kill you. Let's see, will I do that? Actually, I'm gonna Ash Blossom first. Because I actually have multiple negates here, so I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna wait to reveal Conclave, because Conclave is kind of an easy way to pop off Dual Academy. Alright. They did less than I was expecting again. Which is fine, I suppose. I'm saving resources. Alright, I will activate Conclave. Do they negate? They do not. I'll use this to destroy a card on their board. And I will attack them directly again for 18. I'm not doing particularly great in my setup, but they're doing absurdly, violently worse, so I might win this duel anyway. And I have ample negate still, so... Illusion of Chaos. I'm gonna activate Maxi, just in case to get a special summon off. Also, hello, and welcome to the stream if you're just joining. This is an AMA stream, so if any varying questions, any varying descriptions, I'll be happy to answer. I have a Chihuahua in my arms, because it will not show the fuck up. It heard a vague sound from outside the door, so it was screaming if I didn't hold him. He's a violent man. My lovely, lovely husband is taking him outside, though, to quench his violent urges. Oh, it's Keegan! Hello! My big, sexy, bearded man mountain, how are you doing? So glad he could stop by on the stream. Keegan, you glorious being, how are you? No, I have gotten mixed up. Okay, let's see. Okay, they have one Dark Magician in their graveyard, so I will use Called by the Grave to banish their one Dark Magician. Oh, hell yeah, that sounds righteous. I started my stream off by reviewing, more episodes of Seven Deadly Sins and Gosick. Now I'm doing a wee bit of Yuigioh. Monster Reborn. I will negate that with Crystal Miracle. And that also triggers my Duel Academy, which allows me to destroy their one and only back row. And what was that actually? Oh, it was Destined Rivals. Okay. I was thinking that was a copy of Eternal Soul. I was mistaken. Kinda glad I used it now. Alright, now hopefully I can draw something, because I've used up a lot of my shit. I don't have a lot going on, but I'm not gonna have much going on. Oh, and I got Crystal Bond. I don't know if it's the one with Escanor, because I've only reviewed 2 episodes so far. I know so far it's the one that has a shitty plot. It's really bad. Really, really fucking bad. I hate it. I hate it so much. Alright, got a pretty good combo off Crystal Miracle there. Alright, gonna attack, which will trigger the effect of my Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, allowing it to summon itself into attack mode. And that will allow me to attack for game. Hells yeah. Absolutely tremendous. I don't know shit about Seven Deadly Sins because every single solitary iota of information I've gotten about it has made it seem like very generic, shitty shonen bullshit, and it seemed like I would fucking hate it. So I finally decided to watch some of it for the sake of reviewing it on the interwebs, and so far, I am only 2 episodes deep, but both episodes have been terrible. I deeply, deeply hope that maybe perhaps the 3rd episode will be better, and I will review that probably tomorrow on stream, but I'm fairly certain it will not. Yeah, I know, the animation is fucking terrible. Absolute garbage shit. Alright, gonna pop a rainbow bridge on the board. Gonna get a copy of Conclave. Maybe I shouldn't have done Conclave. Maybe I should have done Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, actually. Oh well, regardless. Decent first turn. Foolish Burial, I'm just gonna chain Max C to it. Because fucking, dear God, I'm assuming you're gonna special summon something during the course of this. But yeah, no, Seven Deadly Sins is fucking terrible so far. So far, I hate every character. The plot, whatever it is not interesting in any fashion. The animation isn't good. The art style isn't particularly good. It's a shonen anime, and it hasn't had a good fight scene yet either. It's done nothing. It feels empty, it feels shallow, it feels like they just wanted to capitalize off a bunch of quick anime tropes as fast as physically possible to sell a bunch of merch and figurines to a bunch of idiots who haven't watched an anime before. Which, given the amount of times I've heard it brought up, I am fairly confident they have succeeded in that one solitary goal. So if their goal is as shallow and artistically bankrupt as I'm assuming, then they did a good job. And they can feel proud about that. I don't know if that's their intention, but if it was, they succeeded. If their intention was to make a good show, then they have dramatically failed and they should feel bad about it. So I don't know which is better. I'm just proceed directly to attacking their face down. The fact that I am attacking is triggering the effect of my Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, allowing me to summon it into attack position. Blah. Big dragon. What you doing? What you doing? Who dis? Who am I attacking? Phantom Knights, alright. Was that bad? Did I do it bad? Nope. Alright. Attack directly for 3,000. Do you negate it? They do not negate it, so I attack for 3k. Main phase 2. Have anyone worth special summoning? I really don't think I do. Not particularly. And then my turn. One Punch Man, I like season 1 a lot. I've only really watched season 1. I thought it was really fun. It's done by Madhouse, and as usual, Madhouse absolutely knocked it out of the park with the animation. The comedic timing was really fucking good. Animation's beautiful. The premise is fun. Just dumb, fun anime. It was enjoyable. I haven't read the manga. I have looked at a lot of pictures of different pages of the manga, and the manga redraw, not the original webcomic the anime is based off, but the manga is beautiful. It's some of the most fantastic art I've seen in a manga. It's very high up there for the manga version. You're reading long time ago. You probably were further than I was, because I only watched the season 1 of the anime. But you're reading the original webcomic or the new manga? Because they've had artists redraw the whole thing to look like ridiculous high quality ass shit. You know, it's the original webcomic is dramatically not the same look or vibe. Alright, they're forcing me to use this early. Most unfortunate. Let's get rid of your token, I guess. Really didn't want to use Conclave there, but they forced me to get rid of it regardless, so might as well get some use out of it. Yeah, I was in the middle of reading Hunter x Hunter, and I have no idea where I left off. I want to read more of it, I don't feel like figuring out where I was. Now that I don't have Conclave on the board, I'm kind of a little fucked, because I don't really have any ways of negating anything now. Well, Conclave doesn't negate, you know, it shuffles a thing back, but I don't really... That was my defense, you see. I was hopefully shuffling a big card back, and now I can't do that, because they made me waste it. So, I got a big 3k boy and an 1800 Pegasus, but I don't think those are gonna do a lot. So I'm a little spooked here. I'm good at keeping track of where I'm at on some things. Hunter x Hunter I left open in a tab on my phone. And I accidentally deleted the tab forever ago. So, rare time I made that boo-boo. While my opponent's taking 87 years on their turn, and probably murdering me, I'm gonna drink some water. Oof. Yeah, no, this person is winning this turn. I really don't see how they won't. They're just dismantling my board. I mean, I didn't have a lot on the board to dismantle, so they kind of only really destroyed one thing, but I'm seeing the writing on the wall. Oh, there goes the Chihuahua again. Robert, please. This is my loud son. This is... Oh, hold up. Let me release him. My husband is calling.
Yeah, I'll just take him out here for a bit.
My son has left on excursion. And I am getting a turbo murdered. That is... I wasn't even looking. Why are you wasting that card? What is the point? You're like, I don't even know what this card does, but I don't want to risk it doing something. That is such outrageous damage. What the fuck? That is frightening. Jesus Christ. Alright, once again, 2 wins away from Platinum. Fortunately, did not get there in the stream. But I think that is all I'm going to do for Yuigioh this stream. I appreciate all of you wonderful, gorgeous, sexy, celestial beings for checking out my stream this evening. I appreciate all of you. Every single one of you. Every solitary atom that comprises your being is friend-shaped. I hope you have a delightful day, and catch me on the next stream. Bye!